What's up, everybody? Zemo335 here, and welcome back to my Pokemon Black 2 Mono Dark Run walkthrough. It's gonna be fun. Today we're gonna be going through Floccesy Ranch. We're gonna be giving our rival the town map. It is gonna be switching to winter, and we are going to be just rocking out, really. I'm super excited for this episode. I'm gonna be talking about a lot of wild Pokemon you can get in this area. We're gonna be making some progress. But with all things said and done, let's just get right into it, right? So, first thing I'm going to talk about after we're going to get a cutscene here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right here. Boom, 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 boom. What's up, rival? So, yep, we gotta go for a rival battle. Now, I did not do any training off screen, so we're gonna see how well I do. I might lose. I'm gonna be honest. I might lose this battle. Like I said, I haven't done any training off screen. I wanted to make sure that I gave at least a chance at not grinding with this Purloin, but this is gonna be rough, especially since I came into this weekend. Actually, this might just be a really bad idea. Oh, I'm actually gonna die to the next tackle now. Actually, I think I might have to heal. I'm just gonna go for one more scratch, and then I'll heal. Yeah, I'll heal now. Because I don't want to bank on a crit. So I'm just gonna heal real fast. Try to make sure I don't just die. Alright. We'll see. He keeps using Tail Whip, which is good for me, because it means he's not hitting me. Alright. One more scratch should do the job. So I think we made it out of this with no real danger. So I didn't even actually have to heal because he kept using Tail Whip, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So gonna level up. Really, really nice. Well, actually level it twice. Make it all the way to level 8. Really nice. So that's really good. But getting right into the episode, we are going to be exploring this area. So we're going to give him the town map, which is really cool. And then in just a moment, yep, the owners of the ranch are going to show up and ask that they really need to find their other herdier. So yeah, they're going to actually, after giving us a potion, which is really cool, they're going to give us an opportunity to heal our Pokemon also. You can, anytime while you're in this ranch, you can talk to this lady up at the top, the breeder on the top, and she will give you full health, which is really nice. Yeah, he's like, wait, why did that guy get so freaked out? But you'll figure it out eventually. Hugh ends up getting pretty upset throughout this journey at every single time some of these Pokemon gets stolen or lost. So you're going to see, it's some foreshadowing for what ends up happening later, but regardless. So, moving right along, I'm going to talk to our rival. He's really just standing around like a really useful, helpful guy. And you'll notice immediately, what's this? Is this a Mareep? Is this a Pokemon that we can find in this area? Yes, it is. So while we are battling this trainer right here, I'm going to be talking about the wild Pokemon that you can find in this area. So I'm gonna first start off with the Pokemon that are available on Route 20, since you actually could have already gotten them. And those Pokemon, beginning with Sunkern. It's a returning favorite from the previous games. It evolves into Sunflora. It's a pure grass type. It's got the ability Chlorophyll, which is really nice, which makes it so that if it's sunny out, it ends up doubling its speed, which is really helpful. The main problem with Sunkern is that it is super weak until it evolves, and until you get a Sunstone, which happens very late, it actually has the lowest base stat total of any Pokemon in the entirety of Pokemon. So it is weak. It does scale okay. It's okay later in the game because obviously it is a nice grass type and it does get some nice speed, but being a pure grass type is a weakness, and it definitely takes away from Sunkern's viability on your team. So I've given it a solid D-. It really just does not have the move pool to warrant how weak it actually is. The next Pokemon is Sewaddle, the Pokemon we are coming across right now. This Pokemon is actually one that I recommend heavily. This is one of the better Pokemon you can catch at this point in the game. Also, that did 0 damage. This is going to be a slog. Hopefully I can get a crit. But Sewaddle is a grass and bug type. It's really, really strong, especially for this point in the game. It's way better, in my opinion, than than Sunkern. because it actually, like I said, having the extra bug type means that it's a way better move pool. It's a great physical attacker, got good speed, it evolves early, so you don't have to worry about it not being very strong. Also, there's the crit I was talking about. So I definitely highly recommend it. It's really, really strong, especially for this point in the game. So I recommend it heavily. I give that one a solid B-. Definitely try that one out if you want. The next Pokemon you can find on Route 20 that you couldn't find before is Pidove. Now, Pidove is probably, that's another good one, but I'll talk about him later. Pidove is probably the best Pokemon you can find on Route 20. If you are going to roll with a Pidove, it's a great normal and flying type Pokemon. Has a great matchup against a lot of the Pokemon you're going to be finding early on due to having flying type attacks. In addition, it has access to the far superior ability that you should really, really look for, being the Super Luck ability. What it does is that actually doubles your critical hit ratio, which means that it's actually decently likely for you to get a critical hit, especially coupled with the move Air Cutter that Pidove is going to have access to later. It makes it into a Pokemon that's actually really strong in a lot of stages of the game, so I highly recommend rolling with Pidove if you want a flying type. I give it a solid B. Now, the next Pokemon I am going to be talking about is going to be, as you can clearly see, Lillipup. Now, Lillipup is a Pokemon that is a fan favorite for good uses early. It has great attack. It has obviously stab normal type attacks, which is really, really nice, making it so that it actually really does hit pretty hard with its tackles and its flails, or excuse me, not flails, with its takedowns, which makes it really, really strong as the game moves on. Having access to moves like Bite also means that it has some nice type coverage, and later it gets moves like Elemental Fangs, Wild Charge, and even other kinds of moves, which allow it to actually have some really, really nice coverage. So it ends up being a great Pokemon in the early game. Now, unfortunately, even though it does scale way better than Pokemon like Patrat and Purloin, it does still have the tendency to fall off in the later stages of the game since it's just a normal type. So do keep that in mind. I would definitely give it a solid B+. B+, B, something along those lines. The next Pokemon I want to talk about is another Pokemon that we can actually find in this area, and that is Psyduck. We saw it already. Psyduck is a pure water type Pokemon. It's one of the first water types that's actually available to you. It's a very powerful Pokemon. It has decent mixed attacking stats, it's good speed. It doesn't have to worry about weather thanks to its Cloud 9 ability, and it does have access to Psychic type attacks as well as Ice type attacks for coverage, so it's definitely not a bad Pokemon. The main issue is that even though it evolves kind of early, it has a tendency of just being weak to a lot of things. Water type is obviously one of the types who is very competitive in terms of Pokemon that are available throughout the game. You're going to find a lot of water type Pokemon throughout the game, and this is definitely not one of the stronger ones, which is one of the main issues with it. But overall, it's definitely not a terrible choice, which is why I give it a solid C-. It's definitely better than a lot of Pokemon you can find up to this point, but it's not great. The next Pokemon is another Pokemon we've seen already. It's going to be Azurill. It's another water type that's available to us at this point in the game. It's definitely a strong one too. Azurill ends up evolving into the really good Pokemon Azumarill, which is actually a water type that has the ability Huge Power, which doubles its attack. This makes it so that overall, compared to a lot of other Pokemon, Azurill is really, really good at being a physical attacker. And as the game moves on, also this is really unfortunate that I don't have Limber. I have Unburden, but it allows Azurill to turn to a really, really powerful threat later into the game. But unfortunately, it doesn't have access to the greatest of moves, and it's really, really weak early since it starts off as a baby Pokemon, and it needs to evolve through happiness in order to turn to Marill. So overall, Azurill I give a C+. It's definitely only okay. The next Pokemon I wanted to talk about is going to be another Pokemon we've already came across, being Mareep. Mareep is definitely one of the premier choices that you can get around here. It's definitely solid. The only real weakness of it is that we're going to actually have other electric type Pokemon coming up really soon that are also extremely powerful. So the fact that it is an electric type, although that's really great, it has the severe weakness of it's going to get outclassed very fast. So even though it's good, it's not great, which is its main weakness. But definitely keep it in mind. It's a solid choice, and it's really, really, like, it's worth using if you want an electric type, even though there are definitely going to be some more electric types coming up. The next Pokemon I wanted to talk about is going to be Riolu. Now, we haven't actually come across Riolu yet, but Riolu, actually, I think I did actually come across a Riolu. I don't remember, but it's a fighting type Pokemon. It's another fantastic Pokemon to use, and this is probably the best one that's available up to this point. Spoiler alert, the first gym leader is actually a normal type gym leader, meaning that the only type that's super effective against it is fighting, and unless you catch a Riolu or exactly have Tepig and evolve it into Pignite, you are not going to have any fighting type attacks to hit the first gym with. So having Riolu is really nice, not only for this point in the game, but also because it evolves later into Lucario, which is one of the best Pokemon that you can have. Fighting Steel, also having access to a ton of good coverage moves, and types like Dragon, Psychic, Ground, Rock, as well as having good mixed attacking stats and good speed, makes Lucario one of the best Pokemon you can possibly have. And I really, really heavily recommend using it. It's a fan favorite for a reason. It is fantastic. I give it a solid A. If I didn't rate Azurill, I give it a C+, by the way. And finally, we got the last two Pokemon. I'm going to be talking about them as a whole because they really accomplish the same thing. They're two Pokemon that are available in a special phenomenon that's unique to the Unova region, and that's in rustling grass. Whenever you're in rustling grass, or when you come across it, you can find special rare Pokemon that are not normally available. Now, the two Pokemon that are available in the rustling grass in this area are Dunsparce and Audino. They are largely the same. They're really, really, really weak base normal types. They can't evolve. They don't really get anything special about them. The main thing about them is that they've got access to some decent support moves. Dunsparce has got some interesting choices in terms of type coverage, and Audino has some decent support moves, but in reality, there's no real reason to have those kinds of things whenever you could just use better Pokemon, right? You'll be just using stark normal types with no real bonuses. It makes it so that there's not a lot of draw to using them. In fact, I'd say they're the weakest Pokemon that you could catch up to this point. But there is something nice to be known about Dunsparce and Audino, is that they actually give a lot of experience for this point in the game. So if you want to actually train, you off of wild Pokemon, you can just simply you can just battle them, and they give you a lot of experience. So they're the best way to grind by far. I'm not sure if we're gonna see any. We're not gonna see any rustling grass, but I'll show you if I find it. But yeah, those two I definitely give E's. They're like solidly the worst Pokemon you can find up to this point. But we're here, Herdier, and we can even see it if we look over there. Herdier's being harassed by some ugly dude, so we're gonna have to deal with this. We're gonna see what's going on here. What's up with this Herdier? There's a Mareep, by the way. But I'm definitely excited to keep going here. Now that I've talked about the wild Pokemon, I can get into it. Floccesy Ranch is a pretty basic early area, but it does introduce us to this guy. Poor Herdier. So here comes our rival. He's gonna go get the owner while we talk to little pest. I remember a group of strikes fear to the hearts of those who stand before a Team Plasma. Yep, the evil team of the region. I have heard of it. I'm not sure if anybody else has. Yep, they tried to conquer Unova 2 years ago, but this new Team Plasma is going to be up to something completely different. Now, he gives us the TM for Frustration, which is an okay normal type move. It's more powerful based on how little your Pokemon likes you. So if lower the happiness, the higher the power of Frustration, and he just runs away. So he lets us have the Herdier, which is nice. Don't have to battle him today. But don't think I'm going to let him get away. After this, I'm going to chase right after him. Gonna rock. Yeah, our rival's yelling at him saying, "How dare you treat your Herdier so poorly?" But in reality, it's just an honest mistake. So we're gonna keep on rocking. So yeah, overall, there's a lot of great Pokemon that you can catch in this first area, and I highly recommend picking up something for your team if you haven't already. I'm gonna heal up one more time. Oh wait, yeah, there we go. One more time with the breeder and move right along. So as you can clearly see, Route 20 is completely different now that it's no longer autumn. And due to it no longer being autumn, you actually have access to different parts of the route. Or excuse me, you lose access to certain parts of the route, which is something that is really, really important. But now that we've given the town map to our rival, we can head back to Alder's place and talk to him. just as we were initially planning to, so we can train with him. So, we're gonna head into his house and we're gonna talk to him. But before that, there is a few things that we can get now that we have access to Behind Alder's house. The first thing I want to show everyone is this area. This area is known, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I'll even check the save option to show where we are. Yep, we are in an area called Pledge Grove. Now, this is an area we're going to be coming back to another time, so I want everybody to keep it in mind. But we are going to take a look at the big monument here in the back. As you can see, big 3 sharp marks. What does this mean? Well, I'll definitely show you guys later. But overall, really, really, really cool area, and I recommend that you keep this in mind for another time. So that's behind Alder's house. But another thing that's behind Alder's house, which is more helpful to us immediately, is going to be an item. Now, this is actually a good opportunity for me to talk about these X items that I've been picking up. X items are items that you can use in battle to raise your Pokemon's stats temporarily. So, for example, X attack, increase your attack, X speed, increase your speed, and they're actually really helpful for hard battles. You'll probably see me using them in gym battles later on if I'm really struggling. So, here we are, we're in Alder's house, and we're going to end up talking to these 2 trainers. We're going to battle with them because they're students under Alder, and it's going to be really, really great. We're going to have some trouble, but we're going to see if we can do it. Up against School Kid Seymour with a Pansage. Now, Pansage is a grass type, which is pretty cool. Now, these 2 trainers will actually end up having elemental monkeys, which are types that are weak and then strong against your starter respectively. It's actually going to be a rough battle because I obviously don't have that kind of luxury of having these kind of, you know, the like moves that are super effective against them. Of course I get paralyzed immediately by a lick, but we're just going to keep on scratching at this Pansage. See if we can get some damage. Fortunately, due to me being a dark type, that ghost type move and lick is actually not very effective. Just gonna keep scratching away at this Pansage. And we're gonna finish it off with a scratch, so that's really nice. I didn't get fully paralyzed in any of those turns, which is really helpful. I ended up learning Sand Attack, which is a move that lowers the accuracy of our opponent, but it's not really something we're going to be using due to the fact that accuracy is a really gimmicky thing, and it's also not very helpful at this point in the game. So he's going to heal us up, which is real nice. And we're going to end up going up against, if I'm not mistaken, a Panpour, which is a water type. Yep. Due to the fact that we picked Tepig, this would normally be super effective against our starter, but fortunately for me, our partner Pokemon is a dark type, so we won't have to worry about any of that. So I'm just going to click Scratch as usual. This is standard fare, honestly, at this point. You know the drill. Just going to scratch away at these Pokemon. Until we get a better attacking move, this is pretty much what you're going to be seeing. He's trying to paralyze me, so hopefully I don't get bit. Nope, I got paralyzed. Unfortunate. So we're going to end up being slower. Being paralyzed, I've been paralyzed a few times now. Once by Thunder Wave and now twice by Lick. Being paralyzed actually halves your speed and makes it so there's a 25% chance that you can't move, which is really, really hard to deal with in a lot of situations. Unfortunately, we were to break through it every time, so really lucky. So, yep. So nice, easy battles. Fortunately, thank you for Alder giving me some experience, telling me about the basic types. As you can see, fire is strong against grass, grass is strong against water, and water is strong against fire. But obviously, you can always use your other Pokemon in order to protect them your bad matchups, which is the main deal. In addition, another thing they were talking about is that if you use a move of the same type as the as your Pokemon, it ends up getting increased in power. I talked about that last episode, being same type attack bonus. So here we're gonna meet up with a new guy. He's gonna give us the metal box, which is a little cool thing that you can you'll see him throughout the Pokemon centers throughout the game. He'll end up giving you medals for doing various things that are throughout the game. Which is really, really cool. It's kind of nice to see, you know, what kind of milestones you've reached throughout the game. And he keeps giving you hint medals throughout the game to tell you about different achievements that you can achieve in order to get medals. So just something you'll see me collecting at various points throughout the game. I'll make an honest attempt to get as many as I can, but yep. Now Alder is going to talk about the new leader of the Espiritia Gym, which is actually our hometown. So we're going to head back there and see if we can test our strength. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to see if we can test our strength. After we get interrupted once again by Alder jumping off a cliff and breaking his legs, but not really because he's a badass. He's going to give us orange berries, which are our first held items of the game. Not only that, they are our first berry items of the game. Berries are really, really nice because they can actually be used during the battle. He's talking right now. If my Purloin, for example, was to be harmed, I could give it an orange berry, and it would heal its HP by 10 whenever it gets low. And then my Unburden ability would activate, doubling my speed, which is really, really nice. In addition, using orange berries on your Pokemon will just restore their HP just like a potion. You're restoring 10 HP instead of 20, so really, really cool. So he's just talking about, let's go on our adventure. It's pretty much the gist of what he's saying. If I'm going to get stronger if I keep on working, so that's definitely what I'm going to work towards. So, headed back to our hometown so we can fight the first gym. But before I do that, I wanted to say, now that you have actually gotten to this point in the game, a few things have opened up for you. The main thing is the gym, and that's the thing I am going to be doing right now. But there are going to be some items that you can obtain from a lot of people throughout the city after you beat the first gym. So I'm going to be focusing on those pretty soon. I'll be getting those next episode after I defeat the first gym. But I will say that be sure to give another explorer through the city every time you beat a gym or every time you do something in the game, because it gives you more opportunities to get new items, which is really important. You know, if you want to make sure you get that completion, make sure you have everything available to you. And I'll obviously be talking about that next episode. But for now, I think we've done enough for today. We got through Floccesy Ranch. We came across Team Plasma. We talked about a lot of wild Pokemon. We beat our rival. We leveled up. We trained with Alder. He gave us some orange berries, which are going to be super helpful. As I'm going to immediately put one on my Purloin so as to give it an opportunity to regenerate some HP. Actually, I think I'm going to save them for actually whenever I fight the gym leader. But regardless, that's going to be really, really nice. So I thank everybody so much for watching. This has been CM155. I look forward to fighting the gym leader in the next episode, getting all the items available to me at Espiritia City, and then moving right along to our next destination. That's the plan for next episode. But regardless, thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.